We're so much more than our jobs. We're so much more than our families. We're so much bigger than that. I say sit down, grab a piece of paper, grab a spreadsheet, whatever makes you happy, and just start writing down those 50 things you're most proud of and start remembering who you are. It's so easy to forget.
Has your life, your dreams been interrupted? Good news. It is possible to reinvent our lives. People are doing it every day, and some are brave enough to share the struggles, disappointments, and challenges. If you are looking for a new beginning, a do-over, or to rediscover your passion, maybe even find a new one, then grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Interrupted, Act 2, Reinventing Your Legacy, with your host, Coach Lori.
Tabatha Jones is a career advancement and leadership coach. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Lori. I'm excited to chat.
We have so many great things to talk about. And what I like to do is start with what your life is like now. Once you've had an interruption and we pivot, we have this different life. So what are you doing now and what do you love about it? And then we'll talk about what stopped you in your tracks.
Oh my gosh. So what I am doing now is helping, I say Gen X women, it's generally women from their mid 40s to their late 50s, get really powerfully positioned to have the career of their dreams. Most often that's promotion readiness, which is my favorite because as women, as Gen X women, we were told so many times, just keep your head down and work hard. Somebody will notice. And the reality is that's not true. And I learned that the hard way in my own career. So I take it forward and now get to spend time helping fabulous women have those careers that they've dreamed of.
I love that. And how long have you been doing this work?
I started part-time about 8 years ago and then full-time for the past 3.5. I'm loving it.
It sounds like it's Gen X, but there's also a lot of that midlife transition. There's so many things women of this age are going through could really stop them. And yet here you're telling them you don't have to put your head down and just work hard. You can actually get attention, get seen, get heard. Is that because you recognized that you weren't being seen and heard?
It absolutely was. So what happened is early on in my leadership career, I was in corporate America for just over 30 years. I was in leadership ladder climbing roles for the past, 20-ish years. What I found is in my first leadership role, I had the title of project manager, and that meant all the big technology projects that were run in our billing system were under my leadership. Well, the interesting thing was I had an amazing boss who recognized that I got bored really easily. So she would just give me more things to do. For 10 years, kept taking more. I got my degree. I did all the things. Like, what is happening? Why am I not getting promoted? And then at that just about 10-year mark, we had a major shakeup. It was a big reorg. I come from the telecom industry. They happen pretty frequently. This time around, I had to apply for my job or take a severance package. When I started looking at the job postings, I was like, uh-oh, I'm already doing more than the job ahead of me. And so I applied for that job. I interviewed for that job. It was a manager of billing systems. I probably skipped over the fact that I was already leading 3 of the 4 teams that I would have been leading in the new role. I was already leading the projects. I was doing all the things. We get to this reorg. I apply for the job. I get the job offer as a billing systems manager with a whopping 4% pay raise. And that was my big first interruption moment because I said, absolutely not. Being a little bit less experienced, absolutely a lot less experienced in negotiating and owning my value, I just said, oh, thank you, but no thank you. And I walked out. And in my mind, I was going to be starting a job search. Interestingly enough, about 20 minutes later, I was pulled into the office of the CFO who sat me down and said, here's the deal. We expected you to take this position. We are relying on you. Here are all the reasons we value you, which I should have been able to tell her, but she was telling me. And she said, what will it take to make this offer more palatable? We don't want to lose you. And again, never negotiating, right? I had no idea. I said, well, I'd like to have a senior manager title and 15%. And she said, I assume you mean on top of the 4% we've already offered you. And I said, yes, ma'am. Inside I was shaking my head no, but I said, absolutely yes. That was the moment that I went, I'm doing it wrong. From there, I took everything that I learned, started changing my strategy. Less than a year later, we went through another major reorg. And this time we were going from a regional structure to a shared services division structure, which meant going from leading in California to leading a team across 7 states. There were already 7 directors. They were going down to 4 director roles. And me as a senior manager said, you know what? I'm applying. I'm going for it. And I did. And I didn't get an interview. And I heard others were getting their interviews. So I reached out to the hiring manager and I said, hey, do you have time for a call? And she said, yeah, what's up? So I get on the call with her and I said, you know, I applied for this role. I'm just curious to know what's happening with the application process. And she said, well, we're starting out by interviewing all of the existing directors. And then if we don't fill those 4 roles, we'll be interviewing others who have director titles. But don't worry, we have a senior manager role for you on one of our teams. And I thanked her. And I appreciated her candidness. And I said, well, I'm going to be a little bit candid with you. I shared with her all of my success. I shared with her what I had really been doing, even though I had a project manager title. And I explained to her why I was ready for that director role. Once again, I was either going to move up, I was going to move over to a different department, or I was moving out. So I found my happy self in Colorado a couple of days later for an interview in front of, actually, it was 7 vice presidents, where I then received a job offer just a couple of days later. Learning from that first 10 years, over the next 10 years, I was promoted 4 times. A lot of that was just from completely shifting my strategy. I say just, it was a big mindset and strategy shift.
What gave you the courage, do you think, to do that? Was it like you didn't have anything to lose, or?
Kind of. I mean, and it's a little scary, right? What if they called my bluff? I mean, I wasn't bluffing. I was like, I absolutely deserve to make this money. I know that I let someone else sit in the driver's seat of my own career for 10 years rather than me taking the steering wheel and doing it myself. And I just realized if I don't ask, I can't be told no. I'm not willing to be bypassed any longer. I'm not willing to work for another leader who's not as experienced as I am. I am not willing to sit back and just accept things as they are.
Wow, that is so empowering, because as women, we know and we see this throughout my career in media. I've seen people want to be in it so bad, they'll take on all these roles they don't get paid for. And then what happens is then it's resentment and bitterness. And then when the layoffs come, they can't even replace that person because they've taken on so many roles.
Oh my gosh, I've seen it. So they'll lay someone off and then replace that person with 2 or 3 people because they realize how much that person was doing. Mm-hmm. That's why we owe it to ourselves to understand our contributions. We owe it to ourselves to understand why we are uniquely valuable for any role. And we owe it to ourselves to learn how to speak up and advocate for ourselves. No one else is doing it for you.
And it seems like, especially in business, men come from this place where they sing their praises, that's what they do. That's how they move up. It's not arrogance. It's what they do. But as women, it feels like we're supposed to not toot our own horn. We're supposed to just hope they notice us. So it sounds like you have this, method or path to help us do this better and be able to, like you said, you told them why you were perfect for the job. Sometimes that's hard. I know it's hard for me to do.
Oh, it's hard for women. It's uncomfortable. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable parts of my coaching program because women are just not used to doing it. And to your point, a man will go in and talk about all the things he did and take credit for every single thing. A woman, when she's asked, will share the credit with everybody on the team. Well, we did. And I'm like, what did you do? What did you do to drive that success? Because I can tell you right now, Henry's in there talking about what he did to drive it. And the other thing we do, which is, I've seen this so many times, is a man will use his calendar to set time for networking and to attend networking events. But golf, anybody? Getting out there and getting visible and building relationships where women tend to let everything and everyone override any networking event they have planned or anything they're doing for themselves. We will step back, put all of our goals and everything about ourselves, even hair appointments, whatever, on the back burner, make sure everyone else is taken care of. That is why I believe we see men getting promoted at much faster rates than women because they're out there. Actually went to a golf event. I put a little bit about this in my book. It was a golf event sponsored by a women's network. And I know, ladies, I get it. Like golf, not for everybody, right? I have zero interest in playing golf. I'm not going to lie. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go. And I checked in with some friends that were managers and directors across the industry. Hey, are you going to be there? Yep. Everybody's going to be there. I'm like, great. I got a full lunch table of people I know. I'm so excited. We're going to meet some new people. I'm going to have some connections with people I know. And almost none of them were actually there. It was 85-ish% men. I was out playing golf poorly, but I got a trophy because there were no women. I'm going to brag about that every chance I get. But It was just so interesting. Men were able to make the time, yet when I reached back out to the women in my network and said, hey, I missed you. What happened? Oh, my manager put a last minute meeting on my calendar. Oh, somebody needed something and it was really urgent. Oh, I got this meeting tomorrow and I needed to prepare. Well, I can assure you, most of those men had the same thing happen, but they said, I have another commitment. Can we reschedule? Or I have another commitment. Can I send so-and-so in my place? There's definitely a big difference in the way that we handle things, and it's impacting our promotability and our professional brands.
This is so good. Now, if somebody wants to work with you, is it one-on-one? Do you have a program? How does this work? I know you have a book, and we'll talk about that too. Tell us the title.
It's Promotion Ready in 3 months.
Promotion Ready in 3 months. I love it. If someone wants to work with...
Great question. I have one-on-one and group. My group program is really for women who are managers, directors. I say midlife, but I don't check ID. So if they're a good fit, they're a good fit. Where I help you just really get clear on the steps that are required to show promotion readiness. We start with setting very smart career goals. Not, oh, I want a promotion. Well, what do you want to be promoted to? By when? There are things we control and there are things we don't. We don't control when the promotion will post, but we can absolutely control how we're showing up and representing ourselves. We can control our brand, our mindset. So we work on all of those things over, it's a 3-month program, get you strategically showing up differently. We implement as we go. I get comments all the time from people saying, well, what is she doing different? I don't understand, but she's just showing up different. Or someone will get feedback with, you're definitely standing out. What is it you changed? Sometimes it's as simple as changing that calendar management strategy and starting to show up. So we work on that. Absolutely love the group side of it. And then my one-on-one program is for people who maybe have a little bit more of a situation going on. I'll give you an example. A leader who was promoted to director was really struggling with her relationship with her boss and how she needed to elevate and work differently with her team. She's someone who would fit more in that more personalized structure of one-on-one coaching. But both my programs are me on Zoom. I don't have a ton of training modules. I definitely know that busy women don't have a lot of time to keep up with those sometimes. So I do have very structured content and meeting times and all that great stuff.
So I love that you tailor it to whatever they're going through. But what would you say is overall one of our biggest challenges besides the management? I have an idea what I think it is, but
the biggest challenge, it's confidence in ourselves and confident in taking up the space we deserve. Often what that looks like is, I can't go say that I've done that. That's bragging. I'm like, It's not bragging, my friend. It is not. As women, I feel like this is in our DNA. We are list checker uppers. We're going to go get all the things done, but never sit back and think about what was the impact of that work. Once we start doing that, you realize just how valuable you are and how much of an impact you're making on people's lives.
We get things done. For women, for me, it's like, but of course, if there's a problem, we solve it. When we're raising our kids, whatever we're doing, PTA. I remember as a single mom, nobody ever said, oh, wow, look at you. You taught your boys to drive or shave or whatever. And then here this very handsome, I will say, young man who was a single dad, he braided his daughter's hair. And everyone was like, oh, you braided her hair. And I'm like, what the heck? Are you kidding me? That kind of represents. And I know, like, so we had this big cyclone bomb. Our station is without power. We're on a generator, which is great, but that means no internet. How do we find out what's going on in traffic? How do we know the weather? We're trying to be creative and figure out how to make everything fall together so people listening have no idea that we're struggling. We just go in and solve the problem. And we're not telling everyone, hey, we're solving this problem. I did 4 shifts yesterday on 2 different stations, but it's like, that's what we do. I recognize thinking about talking with you. It's like, yeah, that's what we do, but wow, that's what we do.
Exactly. And adding some metrics behind that. So, hey, I kept the radio station running. So our X number of million people were able to still get their updates and stay safe. Right. It's a huge accomplishment.
And all the commercials ran, because if we don't run commercials.
Right. So now you need to quantify that revenue impact as well and make sure your boss is aware of those things. Make sure that people are aware of those things that you've done. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that makes me smile too. As midlife women, we know how to do things the hard way. So we're usually the quickest to react when technology goes down. We're like, oh yeah, we remember when we did that. Let me just go fix that real quick.
That's funny. Yeah.
Our power is our experience.
Oh, that's so good. My thought too was asking for money, asking for raises. That seems to be harder for women than men.
Oh my gosh, so hard. I didn't talk about this much, but I also have job seeking clients who are looking for their next director or above role. Our rule is we never accept the first offer. Sometimes that is met with a gasp. What? I just want that offer so bad. We'll do it with all aspects of money. Money conversations are so uncomfortable for us, even though we've managed finances in our homes, right? For some reason, it's so uncomfortable. It's really simple to prepare to ask for money. One, prepare. That's the very important P word there, prepare. But come in with, these are my accomplishments. These are the things I have done to drive the business forward. This is what I believe I should be earning. And then find the power in the silence. I'm terrible at silence. I'm a chatty person, but you need to ask. So state your facts. Ask the question and sit back and wait for the response. There's so much power in that silence. With those who are on the job search and get that offer, absolutely accept it with gratitude. I'm so grateful to receive this offer. I'd like to take a day to just review it in detail and circle back with you tomorrow afternoon. Are you available at 4:00? That little bit of a pause to get your thoughts together and to come back into that conversation, it's creating increases in pay on those initial offers between $15,000 and about $25,000. It's huge, which then impacts bonuses, which then impacts whatever else is going on. There's so much power in asking. A man is expected to negotiate. Women are expected to go, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you. And walk on with whatever is handed over.
And when you said that, you saw my reaction, because that feels so scary. Like if we don't say yes right away, they'll pick the next person.
Well, the fun thing is, especially in large companies, which is where I came from, I know how much time they already spent dealing with that offer, getting the paperwork done, getting HR to create the letter, getting all of the things done. They don't want to go talk to Plan B. It's a fun fact. And what happens, I have never in my experience of all my years ever seen an offer withdrawn because somebody negotiated. Can't say it will never happen, but it has never happened on my watch. I have never seen that happen. The only time I've ever seen offers rescinded was because there was a reorganization during the process where an offer went out and then a reorg happened behind the scenes and the offer had to be rescinded. I've never seen it happen as a result of asking for more.
So they give you the offer, you say, let me think about it. Then you come back the next day and you ask for more, or you see if they offer you more?
You ask. So coming back in, I'll give you an example. So let's pretend I got this great job offer today and I said, thank you. I'm so grateful to have received this. I'd like to take a couple of hours to just review it in detail and circle back with you. Are you available to speak tomorrow at 4 p.m.? Yes, no, whatever. You negotiate on the time. You go sit down and you write down 3 reasons why you should be earning more money. You write down what is the number that you want and you come back and ask for it. So the next day, thank you again for this offer. I'm truly honored to have received it. I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about the finances and see what we can do to get this pay closer to $160,000. A couple of things that I have done that will make it so I can move quickly once I'm in this role are XXX. Add some backing, add some financial backing, add some hours. Maybe you've saved by driving automation. Add some things, 3 things, and what will it take to make that happen?
That's so brave. Now, when you have your groups or whatever, do people have the same reaction as me? You get to that part?
Oh, yeah, but I can't. But you can. Yeah, absolutely can. It's funny. I have a client who I had done some resume work for him, and then I did his wife's resume, his daughter's resume, just a bunch of different things. And he reached out to me about a year later and he said, hey, I just got a job offer. I interviewed for a new job. I just got another. I want to move to this company. Okay. He said, I don't know how to negotiate. I said, oh, okay, well, let's have a chat. So he, like me, very chatty. I worked with him on the power of the silence, and his assignment was to practice it with his wife at dinner that night. Oh my gosh. So he got exactly what he asked for. He said the power was absolutely in the silence, and it was driving his wife nuts at dinner the night before.
Wow. Isn't there something in sales, the first one to talk loses.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. Well, and as a coach, we know we get comfortable with silence right away because that's a thing, to let people just be in their uncomfortableness. This has been so great. So your book just kind of walks you through.
It's a quick start and it's promotion ready in 3 months.
Oh,
and
3
the
months.
reason, and I've been asked about the 3 months, a lot of women make the mistake of waiting until the job posts to think about the promotion. Oh gosh, that's the job I really want. I better go apply. Well, you're scrambling to get your resume together. You're not spending enough time on interview prep. You haven't built relationships or been visible or built a strong professional brand. And it's going to sting a little bit when you don't get the job. Promotion ready in 3 months is kind of like planting a tomato seed. You plant it today and you're going to eat it in a couple months. It's not happening tomorrow. What it does walk you through is month to month. There are a list of strategies. There are exercises, reflections, things to really just give you that jump start so that you can start showing up differently. Because if you know, let's say I'm a manager and I want to be promoted to director of operations by the end of the year, I know that I need to start coming across differently. I know I need to elevate up out of the weeds with my team and start elevating my team. There are definitely some things that need to happen now so that you're standing out and you're the obvious choice when the job does post.
Well, this is so good. What would you say is your ideal client?
That's a great question. So self-employment, definitely we should talk more on the one-on-one side. For the program, it's more corporate and nonprofit. And I've had actually a few really cool clients from the UN of all places. So a little bit of government has mixed in there, which has been super fun. Absolutely. Any woman who is in that manager, director space, even some supervisors, if you're already a people leader, it's very helpful, who is midlife. So I would say 40 plus, is ready to start getting the attention she deserves and start getting positioned for that promotion that she knows she's ready for or just on the cusp of, so that we can start getting her elevated and ready to go.
This is so good. And it's funny because the things that you're saying, I'm having all these reactions to because it's true. And so for you to have walked through this and for you to say fun fact and to say so far, no offer has been withdrawn. It's a little scary, but also it's kind of exciting. Like, wow, even later in life, because sometimes it feels like as we get older, we have to accept more rather than ask for more.
Oof, that hurts a little bit. And it is so true, right? We do. We feel like, well, we're getting older. We want to make sure that they don't cut us off the payroll or, whatever it is. The reality is we bring so much to the workplace. Generational diversity is like every other type of diversity. It is so important to have people who have different age groups. You've got every group, all diversity matters. And that thought that can come in from our generation is so impactful. We've been there. We've done that. We've made the mistakes. We've learned the hard way, but we can also learn from our millennial and Gen Zers. We learn how to maybe get a little more work-life balance and how to really thrive instead of just survive in the workplace. As we hit midlife, our confidence does take a couple of hits. Maybe we're dealing with, who am I? My kids are gone. I don't even know who I am anymore without being mom all the time. We've got that little things might be shifting in our appearance and we start feeling a little uncomfortable or, our clothes fit a little differently. The reality is nobody cares. Nobody's looking at that but you. So we owe it to ourselves to just go after any goal that we have, especially those career goals for the last, 5 to 20 years that we'll be working.
Wow, this has been so good. So before we go, I have a couple things. One is tell us the name of your book and where to find it, and then also your website so that we can find you.
Promotion ready in 3 months. It is The Women's Guide to Career Advancement, available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. I kind of smile. There's probably, I'm not going to put a dollar amount on it, how much coaching there is in there, but it's a whole lot more than the cost of the book.
This, what you said today,
right,
is so valuable. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. And then my website, Lori, it is empowered-leader.com. Or empowered-leader.com. You can learn all about my programs. You can book a call or grab some really cool free resources if you're interested.
And it's Tabatha Jones. Okay, Tabatha, before we go, what is it you really, really want us to know?
That you are powerful, you are experienced, and you can have everything you wish for. You just have to believe you deserve it.
That's so good. What does it take for me to believe? We hear this. But what does it take for us to actually start believing? It sounds like that's part of your coaching thing.
It is. Oh my gosh, you caught that. All right. One thing I have every client do, and I really recommend that you grab, is 50 things I'm most proud of. Start making a list. It's funny. I assign this to every client. I think I've only ever had 2 clients come back with this completed after a week. Most of them get to 15 or 20 and they're all focused on work. We're so much more than our jobs. We're so much more than our families. We're so much bigger than that. I say sit down, grab a piece of paper, grab a spreadsheet, whatever makes you happy, and just start writing down those 50 things you're most proud of and start remembering who you are. It's so easy to forget, but I think about things I'm proud of. I've rescued my last 2 dogs. I have raised a son who's 29 years old, and he never thought he couldn't be an entrepreneur. He's out making his way in the world. He was independent, living on his own at 20. There's so many things. I helped my husband, supported him as he started his business back in 2005, and he's been extremely successful. But I helped him get the pieces going for that and supported him. I deliver food as a volunteer. I deliver food from a food pantry to people in need. So when you think about the things that you do and the things that are so important, and you need that little boost in remembering how to believe in yourself and can I believe in myself, start with that 50 things list.
I think that's going to be our challenge. Challenge you to write that list of 50 things. When I think about the beginning of when we start talking, we just do it. We don't think about it, because I do that assignment with my clients as well. And it is really hard. They might get to 20 and I'm like, well, do you clean your house every day? So many things we don't even think of as accomplishments. And there are so many things we do. And when we begin to recognize that, we can stand a little taller. Instead of it being expected, it's like, yeah, I do that.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. I was having a coffee date with a friend of mine who is a health and fitness coach. She's talking about her boys. They're, I think, 17 and 15. And she was talking about, she's been a single mom for a long time. And she talks about how she makes their lunch every day and how she sticks it in this really cool bag because they're big growing boys and they eat this huge lunch. And how she gets up and makes sure they have a healthy breakfast and a protein shake to go and all these things. And I'm like, those are accomplishments. Those are things you're doing that are making a difference in someone's life. Those are a big deal. So when you start to think, oh, I'm just a mom, or oh, I'm just a this, or oh, I'm just a that. No, you're not. You're doing amazing things that are impacting people's lives.
No justs allowed.
No justs. I caught myself earlier. I'm like, where'd that come from? There's no jest.
This has been so great. It would be such a blessing to work with someone like you, because often people say, well, I had to figure it out on my own. How about walking through it with someone that can encourage you, listen to you, even do a mock offer with you to help you be able to keep that silence and practice that silence. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me here, Lori. I do hope that everyone got what they came for today, and love that we're connected, and look forward to future conversations.
If you love this podcast, here's a big ask. Will you share with your friends and family, subscribe, give us a review, and a 5-star rating so that others looking to reinvent their lives will be able to get the help they're looking for? Thank you in advance.